Welcome to the Head Shepherd Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Ferguson, CEO at Next and Agri International, where we help livestock managers get the best out of their stock. Before we get started, a big thanks to our three fantastic sponsors. Allflex, part of MSD, perhaps better known as Cooper's Animal Health in Australia, offers one of New Zealand and Australia's largest livestock product portfolios with a comprehensive suite of animal health and management products. Heininger is a one-stop shop for wool harvesting and animal fibre removal. The Heininger team have a deep understanding of livestock agriculture, backed by Swiss engineering and a family business dedicated to manufacturing the best. ProA Livestock Equipment have been delivering industry-leading livestock handling systems to producers across Australia, New Zealand and beyond for the last 25 years to improve on-farm safety, efficiency and profitability. We are grateful to our sponsors for their support, helping us bring Head Shepherd to you each week. And now, it's time to get on with this week's episode. Welcome back to Head Shepherd. This week on the show, we're doing something different. We're actually part of Podcasthon, which has been organised out of the US. There's actually over 2,500 podcasts who are simultaneously this week releasing a podcast for their charity of choice from 65 different countries. So, of course, Head Shepherd had to be part of that action. So, this week we are dedicating the podcast to the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation. Anyone that's been following along knows that we're in the depths of the 26-2000. So where me and a bunch of others have pledged to run or walk or row, in my case, other people riding, doing other things, and for a couple of thousand Ks for the year. That's for the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation. And raising awareness for that particular disease, as well as trying to raise some funding for research. It's a very much an underfunded area of cancer research, and little is known. Little treatment options are available, little cure options available. So we're really keen to really blow that wide apart and try and bring some well needed investment into that area. So we're aiming to raise $52,000 for the year. Magic number, 26 times 2,000 equals 52,000. And so as you will have heard if you've listened to me at all, is that I'm doing it for my good mate Thommo. That all started because of Thommo's diagnosis last year with the brain cancer, and really wanted to do something about that, feeling pretty helpless. So we thought, well, what better way than to do what we all love most, which is to raise money for research. We're obviously Thommo and myself and the couple of gentlemen you're about to listen to have been very much a part of the research world and strong believers in the power of science to solve big problems. And so today on the show we'd bring ox and cat along. Darren Gordon, Andrew Kennedy, a couple of good mates of mine who have worked together for a long time, and it all started out under a project under Andrew Thompson called Lifetime Ewe. And as you're going to hear today, we're chatting through that project, what we found, but also talking about the leadership and what we've seen Thommo deliver for us personally, as well as for the industry over the last, what is now a pretty long time. Lifetime Ewe started back in 2021. That's a long time ago. You're going to hear a fair bit of banter, a few yarns, a few stories from those days. Bear with us. But also we're going to talk about the great man himself, Professor Andrew Thompson, who is actually retiring at the end of the year. And so I thought, tie all of this together, our 26-2000, the Podcasthon that we're part of, 2,500 podcasts coming together, or greater than that number, which is fantastic. And all of those going for their own particular charities. We're focused on the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation. So the links will be in the show notes. And so if you can spare a few dollars to invest towards that great cause, we would really appreciate your support. I'm, about 420 odd kilometres through my 2,000 kilometre journey, just a bit above where I need to be, or obviously being a scientist, like tracking where we're at. And so we're going well on that train, and sticking with what we're at. Any of you out there that are actually doing it with me, huge thanks. It's awesome to have you following along on Strava and joining in the challenge. And so there is a Strava Club 26-2000 that even if you want to start now, you can still get on there and be part of it. We're not that selective. It's not about where you get to, what you get up to. It's about actually just raising awareness for this disease. And each of us are doing it for different reasons. Others have lost loved ones or know loved ones or colleagues. And so we've all got our own reasons. And I thought it was a great opportunity today to bring it all together. So I hope you enjoy this yarn with Ox and Cat, Darren and Andrew. Welcome back to Head Shepherd. Got a couple of good mates along today, which is going to be a bit of fun. I don't know if we've ever done a couple at once, but we're doing it now. And all for good reasons, which I've covered in the intro. But obviously, our good mate Thommo is going through a bit of a battle, retiring at the end of the year, and thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk through what he means to each of us, or what he's done for the industry, and what he's done for us. He's So I guess. So we've got Andrew Kennedy, who will be referred to as Ox for the rest of this conversation, and Darren Gordon, who will be referred to as Cat for the rest of this conversation, because we won't be able to keep it any other way. But yeah, welcome, gents. Great to have you along.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Thanks, Mark. Excellent.
Yeah, so Ox and I have got a story to tell already about Thommo.
Good.
Well, you've had an AI program, and I think you had your fingerprints on this one too, Ferg. And anyway, we get the call last week. Look, I'm in a bit of strife, fellas. Can you help with an AI program? And it wasn't for Thommo. I would have said, no, stick it up your ass. That's my first swear word for today, so that's not too bad. So Ox and I had the pleasure of dragging out 450-odd sheep. It wasn't the dragging, wasn't the bad part. It was bedding down below your knees, between your knees and your ankles, and lifting them into a crate. And both being big blokes, we pulled up a bit sore after a day and a half on that. So we got conned on that one. I think I called it the forced labour camp earlier in the day, Ox.
It was a good reminder of our limitations, Cat.
Oh, very good. And I haven't heard from Thommo since. He's been hiding on me.
The hilarious
things you do. Things you do.
The hilarious thing of that statement is that that's where we all met as an AI program back in 2001 when we were doing Lifetime Wool, and Ox came out to probably got dobbed in by his now wife then probably, but we all ended up dragging merinos across the board 25 years ago.
It was pretty interesting.
2001 or 2000?
I think it's 2001 was the first drop. I don't know. We did a practice run, didn't we? But I don't know if we did AI that first year. So.
I would have guessed 2000. Well, that doesn't matter. Ox wasn't working with the department then, was he? He was just dobbed in as, once again, forced labour.
I was actually finishing up a work placement at Agriculture Victoria is known as now, and got the call to go out to this farm and help these guys out. And, I actually think because I didn't know you, and I think I turned down the stubby at the end of the day too.
Wow.
Did that ever
I do
happen
not remember
again?
that bit.
Neither do I. Jeez. I think, we did 3 years of 1,600 ewes each year?
Yeah.
4 days of 400? Yeah. It's a big AI program. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon 102, 03.
Yeah, so that was the start of Lifetime Wool. Actually, you probably tell the story better, Ferg. The whole hypothesis wasn't anything to do with lamb survival. It was all to do about changing secondary follicles. Thommo's hypothesis, wasn't it?
Yeah, we started off on a which is funny. I mean, interesting. The fact that we weren't even meant to have twins. If we had to have a successful AI program, we would have only had singles out in those plots, and we actually wouldn't have found half of the impact that project has had would have been well less than it is based on biology not going its way. Maybe it was us blokes just not doing a good enough job of getting that AI program done. But anyway, it's a good outcome.
I always blame the technicians. You don't blame ourselves, don't we? It was the law of unintended consequences, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I tell that story to a lot of people. It was probably one of the biggest, you think about research and how it comes as probably one of the biggest unintended outcomes of a research program. Sometimes our research programs these days are almost predicted, and you're doing, almost predicting what the outcome's going to be, and the outcome here was majorly significant and wasn't the intended outcome.
Yeah. We found out about birth weight on twins. We found out about food covers on twin survival, condition score on twin survival. Just so much good stuff come out of it.
Including, there's so many stories that came out of it as well, which it's going to be hard to limit that to whatever, like 7 hours or whatever we've got today. I reckon, I don't know where to start, but I reckon one of the funny ones, Ox, is your honours when you and I both got some dry ice and we put in the freezer, expecting it being there in the morning, and hadn't actually worked out that dry ice doesn't stay frozen unless it's anyway, whatever it's going to be, minus 200 or whatever it's going to be. But anyway, we were quite disappointed to find empty plastic bags in the freezer.
I think we were dead sure somebody pinched our dry ice. But
yeah,
quickly evaporated.
100%. Well, that was the days. That was early days of leptin. That was good.
Yes. There's all kinds of things. We did David Rendell's masters for him. It was his masters project on the effect of worms on food. Yeah, that was good of us. I remind David of that when I see him occasionally. He just smiles. I mean,
I think one of the other amusing ones was you guys put me on the draft gate to draft all the use of the AI program that had been marked by the teaser. Using red marker on the teasers and knowing. So I'm probably not realising at the time that I'm actually colourblind and struggle a fair bit with seeing red on things, particularly wool that mightn't have been quite there.
What was Boots' comment? Boots was out, by the way. Boots was our head shepherd. He's looking around at me because I'm good, and he's looking at us. Going, there's red on some of those. There's red on some of those. Anyway,
the only man we should have on this conversation is Boots as well, but I wasn't going to back him in on the technology, so we'll have to do that one in person. But yeah, obviously Boots was there for Brian Hurley, also known as Boots, was there for the whole shooting match. I guess maybe Kat just talk us through the setup out there at Austral Park in terms of those early days of what we had to deal with.
Oh, we started with a 40, 50 hectare paddock, and we had to get a surveyor in to come and map it all, because I think we ended up with 32 paddocks, 16 along one side, 16 along the other, and a 30-metre lane up the middle. We had, what were the foos? 500, 700, 11, 15, and...
We have 8, 11, 15, 2 tonne, 3 tonne, and then the third year we went to 8,
the 500, yeah, 5 or 600. And then every variation of condition, high and low condition scores in those after that. I reckon one of the things, we learnt many things, like we got very good at condition scoring, but I think one of the things we did a lot of was the foo assessments. So every week we'd have to march the paddocks, which is, about a 10 or a 12K walk, doing 10 foo observations in every paddock. So there was 320 foo observations by each of us. So 640 between the two of us. Then we'd have to do 30-odd calibration cuts, starting at whatever our lowest foo was and whatever our highest foo was. We got very good at assessing foos. We also had to do pasture growth. Once a month we'd have to pick the cages up and measure what we had before compared to what we had a month later, and work out pasture growth. So we picked up a few things on that, like same paddock, same fertiliser history, same sheep on it, and the different foo grows at different heights. You picked up information like that. We picked up a lot of things. But I reckon one of the funny things was when we were doing the landing rounds. So we have got these cages in the paddock, 10 cages in each paddock. And you have to catch every lamb in the morning, and you have to tag it and mark it and weigh it and measure all these other things. And between the four of us, there was no one under 100 kilos. So we're chasing these lambs, and you're watching this lamb, and all of a sudden you'd go, I'm going to swear again, you'd go arse up because you've run into a cage. So you've got these 100-kilo blokes flying through the air, smashing onto the ground because we're watching the lamb and not this cage appearing in the corner of our eyes. And I don't think any of us did not do that.
No, she was.
I think Ferg had a particular talent for falling over pasture cages. You turn around and go, where is he? He's on the ground.
Dedication to the cause.
Yeah, going back to the pasture growth, like the really low food paddocks compared to the 1500s, it's only twice the pasture growth. Same paddock, same fertiliser history. Yeah, just little things like that you pick up along the way, how you can manipulate pasture. And you think about it now with all the containment setups we do, if we can get that foo up to 12, 13, 1400 before we put the sheep out, we're going to, instead of set stocking 6 weeks earlier, pasture growth being half of what it should be, the things you pick up along the way from that project. The first look at ASBVs too, wasn't it, Ferg?
Yeah.
A good look at merino ASBVs.
We did indeed. And I think that if you could write a career, you'd do that early in the career every day of the week, like that just foundational pasture assessment till literally you're going to drop, and then live weights and condition scores and like the whole shoot match, plus all the add-ons like you talked about, Ox's slept and stuff, and Dave Rendell's worm stuff. Like we were just exposed to so much really fun foundation sort of science, which was amazing. And
the wool growth stuff. What was the chemical we used for the wool growth where we had to paint it on the skin of the follicles? What was that stuff we used?
I don't know. It was a confirmed carcinage. Did I know that? But
there was quite a few of those we used. Dye banding, that was it. Dye banding. That was one of Thommo's favourites. He must have used it doing his PhD when he was in Adelaide, and so he made us do this too. We didn't think much of that job too.
I mean, the jobs. Yeah. So anyway,
I think that was probably one of the good things, Ferg, I reckon, about being under Thommo's guidance, leadership, whatever else, is that we had work to do, but then at the same time, if there was ideas or experimental thinking that could be involved somewhere, then he was a huge champion of it. And I think that's what drove your passion for research, was that you're actually you could have a bit of innovation come in to your normal job, which was great.
Yeah, exactly. I do remember when we first sort of got fired up and we were setting out our yearly calendar, and Thommo took a little bit of exception to the fact that every Friday we just wrote stuff. He was a little bit concerned that we weren't going to do any work on Fridays.
I forgot about that stuff.
It was a very busy Monday to Thursday, and then stuff on Friday, which really.
Well, the weekly it went like this. The week Mondays was pasture assessment, so that was our 10K walk. I don't think we lost too much weight, even though we're walking 10K every Monday through long grass, wet.
Might have been the 4 p.m. problems, I think. But,
the dries a bone coat on because it rained mostly. Then when we get the figures in, and Tuesday morning we do the calibrations. Tuesday afternoon we're changing the stocking rates to keep the food levels at the same. Wednesday was weighing and condition scoring, and it wasn't a few sheep either, was it? So that was
700 or 800 or something.
Yeah, on the plots there were. Yeah, so Boots, the head stockman, would bring them in. He'd have 3 mobs on the go, 2 dogs. He'd have a mob coming into the yards, a mob going away from the yards, and then he'd have another dog bring the next lot up to the corner of the paddock so we could just keep, because we got told it'd take us 2 days to do this weighing, and we said, well, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to be better than this. So we got it down. We'd weigh and condition score, bring 32 mobs through the paddocks in one day. Thursday, every second week, we'd have to get the followers, like the lambs that we'd had on the ground from the year before, and we'd have to weigh and condition score them. So that was a big days, 1,500 lambs. You'd have to whack through the yards, weighing and condition score. And that's why we had stuff on Friday. And that's what we did for 3 years. And no wonder we got good at things.
And you actually, I think the big one for me, Kat, was that between AI and pregnancy scanning, the whole 1,500 had to be condition scored.
Yes.
And no EID then either, so you were reading visual tags for those. But then you happened to disappear. And granted, you did all the condition scoring on those ones, but you did disappear on a couple of occasions, and I had to sub in. So that was, I remember you for that.
I wouldn't do something like that to you. I'm trying to think. I don't remember missing too many days, but I must have. But you've obviously remembered it.
It was only 1 or 2, but geez, for anybody want to test themselves, go and try and condition score 1,500 ewes in a day. It's a pretty challenging exercise.
I was going to let everybody on the secret how we de-stressed ourselves. We keep that to ourselves.
Well, we got a rough idea, but we'll get there. Just reiterating that point on, we were pre-OD, so we were have this massive big board. We'd have the previous live weight and previous condition score, so that would somewhat protect us against if it was going to be miles away, we'd get them redone. So it was a bit of a quality control. And so all that data had to get, written down with a pencil. And that was the same with every pasture assessment, every live weight assessment. We did not digitise a single thing. And so now you would go about that such a different way. But anyway, we probably, looking back, like how did we, I reckon EID was just available, I reckon. So we probably...
It was just. I reckon Leo, the vet at the department, just started mucking around with it.
So anyway, so it was then we had the amount of labour that just to collect data compared to today, and we sort of whinge about. Well, we don't, but people whinge about collecting data these days. But wow, it was done the hardest way possible back then, and lots of it.
Yes. Oh yes, and every month when we did the cages, we had to do. Botanical composition. So we'd cut the grass, we'd stick it in bags, and we'd stick it on the table, and we'd had to sort it to all the different species. And that was mind-numbing, that work. So that was probably 5 or 6 of us sitting around a table sorting grass. And because the grass levels were down, 811, you're talking, 1 or 2 centimetres up to 10 or 12 centimetres for the higher foos, but, just... sorting grass. I think it was all the mind-numbing jobs. That was the most mind-numbing of the lot.
And silver grass.
At this juncture, I'm starting to...
silver grass.
I'm starting to wonder why we like Thommo at all, really.
One of the funniest things was Thommo, it was his baby, his project. We were, you two were the science boys and I was the techo. And, Thommo said, we'll start the pro, I'll be out there every week. Then about halfway through the year, I'm going to come out every second week. Then, then it went out to a month. And at one stage there, Thommo said he was going to come out. So Booch disappeared and he came back and he drew Thommo a map on how to get out to the project. You reckon he hadn't been out there that long, he might have forgotten how to get out there. And that was one of the great things at Thommo. Once we got going, he gave us so much trust and probably confidence, that, we could actually do things. Once again, I came from a different background to you boys. I came out running shearing teams. So it was, to have someone like Thommo give you confidence to do things and believe in you. And I reckon that's probably, of all the things, Thommo, for me, that was the biggest one. I reckon he just gave me that's confidence, keep doing things, keep working on it, and you'll get places. And I'll forever thank him for that. Yeah.
I reckon he probably got sick of me in the first 12 months I was working for him, because I go back and ask him every time if I need to get something or whatever else, I would go and ask him. Say, just do it. Like, there's no micromanagement.
Nah.
No, he's definitely.
No, there wasn't.
That's definitely a lead from the pack sort of bloke, and you're right. Giving you that, getting out of the road. Well, giving. I had a quote the other day, or it's a while back now. Actually, it's a year ago, but employ good people and give them big things to do, and I think that's sort of what he did to us, and we'll claim to be good people, or at least we became good people under him. Whether we started that way, I don't know. But he certainly has that attitude of definitely not into micromanagement, but is expects very high standards as well, which as we all do, and that's why we all got on. The old 100 kilo club. I think he's dropped out of the 100 kilo club now. He's way too fit for that, we certainly had. Was that, good days back then.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk us through left or right, Cap.
Left or right? Oh, yes, righto. So Austral Park was halfway between Hamilton and Coleraine. And as we've talked about, we did big days. We worked pretty hard. We had about 5 minutes of morning smoko, probably 15 minutes for lunch. We just wanted to get the job done. So this dirt road was 6 mile lane or 9 mile lane, Ox?
I think it's 6, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're 6 miles out of Coleraine, and we turn right and go the 25 miles back to the DPI. And there was 4 of us in the car, Boots and I would be perched up in the front. And Boots is a big bloke, and Oxton, it was only a Toyota Hilux too, so we might have been exceeding the weight carrying capacity of that Toyota Hilux between the 4 of us. 3 dogs and a weigh crate and everything else we had in the back on. So we get to the end of the 6 mile lane, left 6 miles into Coleraine, or right. We turn left and we drive into Coleraine, and we go to the bottle shop. And we'd get 4 bottles of Melbourne. Good thing we don't work for the department anymore, boys. We'd probably get the sack now for doing this. But anyway. we just saunter our way home, sitting on about 85k an hour. A lot of the time we're physically tired. We had big days, and we made the world a better spot. We've forgotten about all the crap jobs we've done for the day, and we're already talking about what we're doing tomorrow. So, as a management technique, probably not the greatest, but as a team building technique, it's probably the best one we're ever going to have, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know that we ever went right unless we were late for something, but
wasn't too often. So at one stage we had three drops of lambs. You know, we had 3,000 or 4,000 of Robbo's sheep. With David Robertson, who was great for us. He just let us go and do what needed doing. Had a beer fridge for us in case of emergencies. But we, he did 3,500, 4,000 count lambs and ewes for the following year running around his farm. So we're looking after a little farm in our own rights there at stages, weren't we?
Exactly. Talk us through the Termergens, mate.
Termergens. Termergens. Thommo and the weather. We're sitting out on the top of a plain. It's a rise, and got plenty of red gum trees, but it was probably one of the coldest places in Western Victoria. So Thommo had this great. We want to get as many lambs to survive. So Thommo said, "We'll build some shelters." And Boots and I had Boots and say, "I've been in this film a few times before," he'd say. And he said, "They're not going to work, Thommo." And Thommo's pretty intense. We had to build 32 shelters in these paddocks. So the four roofing iron on a 45-degree angle to the wind. So you got a little bit of a V in every paddock. So we built these things, and let's be honest, they didn't work.
I don't think we ever saw a lamb behind one.
I'm going to take my camera out. So the ewe would be lambing as far away from this. Termergens, which is by the way, I better tell Termergens a cross between Thommo's name and Ferg's name. Thompson Ferg, people. Termergens, Boots and I called them. And we'd take photos of these lambs going nowhere near these things. But anyway, we did it. And I think Boots got the contract to remove Termergens at the end of the project. We had to knock all the stuff down and return the project back in 2005, I think, to a normal paddock. So all the Termergens ended up in Boots' yards. There's a roof on his yards, sides on his yards. So they finally got a decent use.
It's the first time they saw a sheep. Yeah.
Have a look at this, he'd say. Have a look at this. They're going nowhere near it. I said, no, we know. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, they were, good ideas. I mean, one of the things that we've got to credit Thommo for is being able to predict when there's going to be a massive rainstorm event by putting an AI program exactly 5 months prior to that, because we
should be hired by
we managed to hit storms.
Yeah, Euro meteorology should hire Thommo and say 146 days from now you'll have 2 inches of rain. It didn't matter if we did an AI program in January or March. 146 days later, we'd have 2 inches of rain. We'd have wind and hail if we could too. It was a great skill to have, wasn't it?
It was. And I remember that, I think it was the third year, was it, where we decided we'd try and bring them indoors to save some lambs, which is, I reckon, makes the Termergens look like a playground. That was possibly the worst idea we've collectively had. I don't know whether we all agreed on it or but anyway, it didn't work. And
certainly wasn't chaos. Mine and Brian's, put it that way. It wasn't that. That's what it was. It was actually trying to reallocate all the lambs and ewes to the plots 2 or 3 days later. Like that took us 3 or 4 days of matching ewes up with lambs, and that was hard work. Tell you what was another big job, Ferg. We'll forget about that one. That's not a good memory, that one for me. When we were doing the shearing. So Robbo was a 6-stand wool shed, 5-stand, 6-stand.
Yeah.
Yep, raised board. So 6 shearers, and we couldn't talk to shearers only having 4 shearers. We have to have 6 shearers, and we had the fleece weigh and belly weigh. And once again, we didn't have EID back in those days, so you had to physically read the tags, write the number on the card, make sure that card stayed with the fleece, weigh the fleece. So you got 6 shearers going, and they're pumping out probably 1,000 or 1,200 a day. They'd have to be skirted and go through the normal shed process. And we were doing one side of the table because Robbo thought he could save a few bucks by getting us to do one side of the wool table. That was logistically a tough job, that one. But we got it done. We did 5 shearings there. like 3 years of the ewes and a follow-on for 2 years of the lambs after that. I'd forgotten about that one till then.
Yeah, so many good experiences.
I think we had one or two fleece scales. Because it was going so quick, I think we had 2 fleece scales. And you had to do weigh the bellies separately as well, write that on the tag, then skirt the belly. There's Robbo saving a few bucks there again because we were doing the bellies for him. But I did mention before, he did have a beer fridge in that shed. So
that's Mayor David Robertson, isn't it? Oh, no, he's no longer.
No, he's no longer the mayor, but he was mayor for a while. They were good. Just remember when we first met Robbo. I don't know. I hope Robbo never hears this, but he probably will. Someone will show it to him now. That he was a very private person, and just keep things quiet. And you sneak up the road nice and quiet, and just go to the yards. Don't come past the house. And anyway, Robbo is not after about 2 years, Robbo was not very private. He was like captain of the golf course. We took him touring when we started doing the Lifetime Ewe. He knew every second bloke in Australia. We were out doing the Lifetime Wool Road Show, it was called, actually. The Lifetime Wool Road Show. He wasn't very private at all. Anyway, he was very good company, very good to us.
One of the funniest things that we had to do for Robbo one day, funniest things I've seen for a long time.
I know exactly where this is going.
Some crazy steers up a race for Robbo. Seeing you two boys jump around the cattle yards was pretty hilarious.
That was the last time I got in a cattle yard, Ox.
You hadn't seen them before.
I'm still scared of them. I think my other contribution to the cattle industry is I eat steak occasionally. God, no, I was scared of them. How did we get that job? They were cranky cows too, by the way.
I don't know how we ended up in there. Yeah.
Don't you still think you don't see an 100-kilo bloke pole vote over cattle yards before, have you?
Jumpy.
That was good. I guess the purpose of all this somewhat frivolity was the data that it created. And I remember when we were about to go to Adelaide for one of the team meetings, and we sort of finally analysed the data and found the curve that Thommo had predicted in the fibre stuff, which again we've shown or said that it ended up not being as economically important. It contributes, but it's nowhere near as big as what the lamb survival and lamb management stuff has been out of that project. But it was I remember that day pretty well, where we found the result that he had sort of hypothesised all those years before. And I think we made the most of that trip across to Adelaide too, I think. And as a result,
I think we're up in the Barossa, actually. And I think we got Peter Barber to drive the car because you and I are very excited about the outcome.
Yeah, I think 100% he was driving. Yeah, but that
was what was that, the third year? So second lot of data?
Must have been 2 lots of data in before we analysed and found the result.
Yeah.
The point of all this ended up being the Lifetime Ewe Management, which was your brainchild, Kat, and then so you did all the demo sites, I suppose, and they became the course that a lot of people around Australia would, and beyond that, would know about. Lifetime Ewe Management, the biggest, I think the most successful extension campaign in the history of the sheep industry, and we have 100% Dr. Andrew Thompson to thank for that, and all the crew that obviously then supported around that. But its legacy will probably outlive all of us, but it's a massive impact on the industry, and so many people out there have trained on that program and have changed their management accordingly and saved however many squillion lambs and made lots of money. It's a pretty big impact when you look back on it. Yeah,
it's been massive. A lot of credit to AWI for actually investing in the project in the first place, because it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the actual Lifetime Wool stuff. Like, you'll know the figures better than me, Ferg. We had 2 research sites. We had a research site in Western Australia, then we had demo sites in every state except Queensland and the Territory, just to validate the first lot of numbers. The first three years of numbers. So, what do we have? 2 or 3 sites in New South Wales, a couple in South Australia, 3 in Western Australia. We had one down in Tassie that you and I had to do a trip down to once.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, and I think one of the great things about it is that the training, that led on to Lifetime, the pasture pasture assessment and the condition scoring, and then the use of, everyone talked about pasture growth to do feed budgeting. Like if it's growing at 30 kilos a day and you got X amount of sheep in the paddock and you worked out how many sheep you can run, but we actually through all that work, and you did the numbers one evening, the original numbers. It was a 26-piece process, I remember too, for the first bit of paper to come out. We got it back to 5 or 6 to do. People talk ME now. Everyone talks about ME in, ME out, and that came out of that project. It was one of those unintended consequences again. But we changed the language. Like people understand what sheep need now, and if you know that your sheep needs 11 ME and your pasture's getting this, you know how to what to feed after that. And I think that's probably, out of all the things, that's probably the thing that farmers can do so much better now. And that all came out of that.
Yeah, I remember those. I mean, ox can do the equivalent to those grass feed runs in a heartbeat these days. But back then it was crunching through all of the all the variables and punch them in, get the result, put it into a table, and you'd come back and say, we need to know this number, and so we'd sit there and run the numbers and get it all out. And it's amazing essentially those tables are still, or versions of them are still around, but obviously can be done a lot more. Well, you could have done it quicker then if I'd have known what I was up to as well. But it's pretty cool, those tools that, we're just simple tools that have changed the game.
Yeah. And change the language of farmers now. Like everyone talks ME, don't they? Yeah. Not how much.
Yeah.
I'd say to a lot of people, particularly younger generation, you don't realise how probably skinny sheep were, or how hard we could run sheep back before then. And also, I put it up there with almost in the phosphorus type level of changes to an industry, and that's. It has had a dramatic effect, I reckon, Kat, on the language and the way people approach it.
Yeah. No,
if you said you've got to feed a kilo of grain per head per day in some circumstances, back then you'd be saying, a kilo a week. So and that was the change in the logic and thinking.
Yeah. It helps the land's gone from, I think when we were doing, I reckon, Ferg, you might know the numbers better than me, that when Youngie first did the modelling, if land got over $4 a kilo, it could basically feed the twins to increase their survival from 40 cents to 60%, and we'd still be in front economically. What lamb's now $11 and mutton's at $7 or $8, so it helps that the economics have changed a bit too. There's a lot more desire to do things really well. Yeah, and it needed to. Yeah, I think
feeding a skinny twin was and still is the most profitable thing you can do. A skinny twin bearing ewe that is under her target. It's a no-brainer. And often, we still see out there people feeding up to flush up ewes and feeding grain pre-mating and then letting them fight for the rest of the year. Whereas way better off saving that grain and feeding it to something that's a bit underdone and that's scanned in land with twins.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing that's changed, and one of Thommo's great legacies, the change in the amount of people not only scanning, but scanning for multiples. Can you remember the figures, what they were pre-lifetime, full lifetime ewe?
It'd be horrible to know. I don't even, got to be low. Yeah.
Yeah. And, 90% of people scanned didn't even do for multiples. They just wet and dried them and got rid of the dries. And I think Youngie showed, that was nearly a pointless exercise. There was so much more value, spending an extra 20 cents and finding out, what proportion were twins. And that was the other thing we found out, was just how fertile the merino flock could be if we looked after it. Like, I think the average when we started was landmarking was 78%. Was the national landmarking in the merino game. And if you scanned 110, 120, you're doing really well, because that still means you lost 30 or 40 lambs for 100 years. Now we're scanning 150 to 160 merinos, especially the modern merino, Ferg. And all of a sudden we're up to 120 in good merino operations now. So that's very fulfilling too. And that's Thommo's legacy, isn't it? It's one of the great things he's done. Yeah.
No, 100%.
I think back, Kat, if the AI program hadn't done better, we would have had singles and we wouldn't have the impetus to push pregnancy scanning so hard.
It's amazing.
look back at what that had done to our careers. We talked about this the other day while we were at in the prison camp carting sheep out. That was just changed things so significantly. I think, well, what did we have? We had a 55 or 60% hit rate, didn't we, in that first AI program?
Something horrible, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the many funny things, Ox, is that you hadn't had enough punishment. So, like me, we went to WA, but you followed Thommo over there and we ended up at his service creating feed efficiency sheds and all sorts of crap as well.
Not long ago, well, probably, I don't know how long after you, Lifetime Ewe sort of wrapped up, you headed off over to Murdoch to do your PhD. And from your perspective, I think that, Lifetime Ewe stimulated a lot of thoughts. And endless. I remember we had endless discussion when you first went over to Murdoch about how different sheep were doing different things under the same management, whether it be good or bad, and that was a good time, I reckon.
Yeah.
Now you might correct me on this, Ferg. When you first went over to the West and you went through Merino Tech's or backdated Merino Tech's figures, what was your initial thoughts about ASBVs?
I tell this story very often. I was. Almost wanted to prove they didn't work because I was coming from a polled horse background where everyone was telling me they didn't work. And also I thought muscle would be a cost to energy so that they'd be negatively related to fertility, reproduction anyway. And so it was pretty cool when we proved that was the opposite. And obviously, I guess we didn't really know what we were doing, but we could see those animals doing differently particularly on those lower feed on offers. Some sheep were maintaining or going okay, and some sheep were horrible condition. And now we know they were sheep that genetically lower fat, those ones that weren't handling it. But back then we didn't know what that was about, and that's sort of what the PhD went about, trying to understand a bit. So definitely stimulated. Yeah, who knows where any of us would be without Thommo, but certainly, my career has took a massive lift, and just by A, his top management style, B, the way he got us thinking, C, how he got us writing in terms of all the focus on scientific writing with Dave Lindsay and stuff, and his focus on just rigour and that real ability to do the hard things regardless if it was what needed to be done. It had to be done because we needed the information. Without the information, we couldn't make a decision. And I guess the other, and Ox will comment on this, but the other great discipline that Thommo brought to research and continues to is having the other sort of 3 or 4 or 5 amigo is Youngie. You mentioned him before, Kat, but everything was done with an economic. We're always doing pre-experimental modelling, going, if this happens, what will it mean for the industry? Because if it meant nothing, then let's not do it. But if we assume that we're going to make this sort of gain in twin lab survival or in wool micron of those sockets or whatever, then what would that mean for the industry? And if it was a big enough number, then it was worth chasing. And Thommo's always done that, and that's one of the great things that certainly I don't think there's probably still research groups out there that don't do that. And but certainly it's great to have that economic impetus behind everything he does. If it's not going to make money for farmers, he won't be involved.
Yeah, I remember clearly driving out to Austral Park. It would have been in the first year or two early on, and in getting absolutely excited about some of the responses were lining up with some of Youngie's Midas modelling. I've never heard of Midas before. He said, look at this, look at this, look at this. Thinking that I understood everything he was talking about. But he was super excited that the responses were lining up with the modelling work that they'd used to predict some of the outcomes or the economic output in the first instance. So it was pretty funny. It was pretty good. I think the other thing, what I love too, Ferg, from, we're just talking about, PhDs, that when you take stuff, he has an amazing ability to analyse on the spot and put context things and put them right into, appropriate focus straight away, like an uncanny knack. But you'd give him like a proposal or something, and it'd be like you're back at school, and it'd come back, the red pen would be right over and just but just I think, the feedback that you got on that was so usable and so, I think one of the worst things that probably you see nowadays is you give something in the comments on it and you go, oh yeah, that hasn't really helped me. And so the feedback like that was unreal. So.
Yeah. Has there been anyone within industry that's been able to pull all the funding bodies, the research, the economic modelling, producers, and pull it all into one thing to get information out? Just all those different, and they're all political machinations of they want different things. And Thommo's been able to so many projects where he's been able to pull everything into something that has a really good bottom line for producers. I don't think, might the odd occasion, but I don't think anyone's done it on such a scale over so many different projects, Ferg. What do you think? That's more your field?
No, he's superhuman, mate. His ability to see and understand the big picture as well as the detail is next to no one can do that. Like he's he knows, like Ox was saying, like he knows where that part of the puzzle goes and why it's important and why this other part of the puzzle isn't important, and it doesn't matter where it goes. And he's exceptionally good at managing, like getting that group to provide this bit, which will go with that other bit. This other group can fund that bit, and he's still doing it right now. Like we've got these drought fund projects and stuff that he's got funded across 3 different mechanisms, and he's talked it through to me about 3 or 4 times, and I can't keep up. I just tell me what he wants me to do, and I'll do it. But but he's his ability to, and just that encyclopedic knowledge of sort of sheep biology and system. That system knowledge is, and every paper and every, I don't know, like, maybe one day when I grow up, I'd like to be half as good. But,
That's so true. I think about like you try and you'll never achieve it, but you try and model yourself on some of those things that you see in those mentors and leaders, exactly. And he's one of the ones that you always are trying to go, right. He's a reference point for you about how you operate.
Yeah. I mean, if he's in my mind, he's only got one fault, and that is that he will never ever take the credit. And it's not a fault; it's a great character attribute. But he'll never take the limelight. Like he'd much rather us stand up and take the credit for the work than for him to be in the limelight. And that's one of his probably great features. He's far from wanting the glory. He gets kicks out of seeing people that he's mentored and people that he's helped to go well as obviously seeing industry go well. That's the closest thing to his heart, I think, and other than his close family and mates. But loves having an impact on industry and has had and continues to have a massive impact on the industry, which and particularly like obviously reproduction focus coming from the merino game, like we've said before, like reproduction wasn't even on the radar when he would have started his career. He was doing his PhD in staple strength and stuff. It was all about wool. Then the price crash of the late 80s, early 90s hit, and that would have been sort of, just as he was hitting his straps. But reproduction's been his real jam. I mean, there's a million other projects we could talk about that we've all been involved with, and that he's still out there leading great stuff, and that makes a difference.
How's the latest one? We got started to get some write-up on that, the whole body energy story?
Yeah, getting there. And I mean, again, it's Youngie's modelling that is really going to tell a story. So the science is done. Well, it'll never be done, but it's done to a point where we can start. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, we're always learning new things. The more you know, the less you know. But certainly what Youngie's showing is that the value of whole body energy fatness to the economics of a production system are significant and much larger than what we might have assumed years ago, and certainly warranted some fairly good selection pressure, and I haven't got the final number as to what that looks like and what that means, but I think it'll I know it's going to demonstrate that those that have gone out there and selected for basically what we were trying to do selected for condition score. Essentially, we're doing it through fat and muscle, but what we're trying to do is have sheep that stay in good condition, and the cattle game's not doing any, is also looking that way as well. And I think there'll be more nuance than that, and that's what we need to work out, because you need to know what the various pressure you put on each trade or whatever. But he's picked up. But there'll be some interesting stuff. It's not quite done, but we're getting pretty close. There's other work that's now going to kick off to learn a few of the things that we don't know. And again, it's all about informing that economic model that Youngie can run. And like, if we can understand the biology properly, we can model it properly, and then we can work out what the value is. And that's where Thommo is so good, because that's how his brain thinks. So we'll always, every time you think of Thommo, you think of turning over a bit of A4 paper and drawing the X and Y axis and putting some dots on it and trying to work out what. And often it's some sort of 3-dimensional thing that you're trying to understand, but that's his go-to is the XY axis.
Yep. Remember his notebooks? You know, he had those big binder notebooks, and he'd have lines going over pages to something 4 pages away, because he wanted to reference that with that and go back to it. I just remember looking at him, geez, how do you follow that? He said, just go backwards and forwards and dot it down later. He was always, and that's one trait I have picked up with him. Everything I do, I try and record now and write down, on a hard copy, so I can always go back and reference it.
It's still way quicker to email him and ask for a reference or ask for a spreadsheet than look for it on your own computer. It always turns out way quicker than I can find
it. I don't know how many bloody spreadsheets he'd have. How many spreadsheets can you have on a computer before it just goes, too many? Because Thommo would have to be close to that, wouldn't he? It'd have to be. I did something like that 8 years ago. Give me a bit of time, I'll get back to it.
I think one of the good things, getting back to the career management, career development stuff with Thommo, he was always looking out for you in terms of your next step or whatever else you were doing. I was just thinking about then for instance, I'm working for an agriculture department and got to go on a study tour with him across the states, looking at grazing behaviour and things like that. Those opportunities don't come up that often, but that was the opportunity as a 20-something-year-old to go across the whether it was America. I remember trips to New Zealand, even went to Ireland, etc., for a conference and things like that. It's just all pushed by him to just get you out and exposed.
I think Kat and I got to go to Tassie overnight. That's about as far as he sent us, mate.
Oh, yeah. And probably still regrets that decision, doesn't he?
Probably cost him the same amount.
I think the word came back from someone head in the department that was a bit churlish when we wrote the report. Anyway, that's a different story again. Churlish.
I think that's the other side of him as well. Like, we're talking about Lifetime Ewe Management, but he's had PhD students, and across his grazing behaviour and pasture work and stuff, he's had a huge part of his career in that space as well, which is pretty phenomenal.
There's that systems thinking that he's always trying to plug all the systems. Obviously, towards the end of our days at Lifetime, you're over at Morella running all those pasture production, all that choice work. That was amazing stuff. That I remember, I don't know what those ewes were doing, 350 grams a day or something, or I don't know, ewes and lambs just going crazy on those clover ryegrass mixes, as well as the individual spores and stuff. It was again different stuff. All this going on at once.
What was the funny about there was that it wasn't that far away from town as what the Lifetime Ewe site was. So he visited that one a lot more frequently, and he also tended to visit on weekends. And sometimes his science management would take over, and you'd rock up there and sheep were meant to be in one peg and they'd been moved to another one. You're going, geez, that's not right. What's going on there? And Thommo had been out overseeing what was going on.
Maybe we were safer out at Austral Park.
Yeah, I think it was far enough away. All good intentions.
Yeah. Right, we better wrap it up, gents. But I guess obviously we've all been heavily influenced by Thommo in his great career, and him rounding it out, I think he's heading towards retirement sometime soon. But it's he's done amazing things for the industry, amazing things for us, and continues to do so. So, hopefully he'll listen to this one day and finally have to accept the gratitude that he deserves.
Yeah, exactly. So you're running and walking and all things. You want to take us through that, Ferg, please? I've got a few things I want to add.
Yeah, right. You got your scaling ratios. I'm looking forward to your scaling ratios. Yes. So I'll probably I've bored the audience a bit on this, but the 26 2000 is my attempt to raise all, not mine, but ours now. An attempt to raise awareness of brain cancer that Thommo's been diagnosed with. When he did Thommo's done the research into the amount of research that's going into that particular cancer, and it's very limited compared to other cancers. And obviously, there's lots of good people out there doing good work across health generally, but this particular disease we don't know a lot about. So I'd actually been to see Thommo, and I'd probably had a couple of wines on the plane coming home, and thought I'd pledge to run a walk or row. I said at the time 2,000 Ks for the year 2026, and so managed to get that written down and told to everyone before I could get myself out of it. So we've taken that on, and great to see a whole heap of people doing their bit or joining in on that in whichever way they can. So Kat, I'd like to hear your ratios that you think.
As we know, not everyone's the same, Ferg, so we've got to have some measures to help people through this. So I reckon if you're over 100 kilos, every K you do, either walking, running, is worth 1.5K. Yep. And if you're under 80K, like Youngie, you only get 0.7 of a K. So I think that's fair. And I think swimming, every metre you swim is worth 10 metres of running. Now, Ox modelled for this for me while we were in prison the other day dragging sheep, and he said it makes all good sense, didn't you, Ox?
Well, I was even wanting to take it out to how many extra ME I need to carry around this 130K plus frame. I was thinking if I was considering more ME, I was consuming more ME and had to expel more ME, then I thought I could. My kilometres are much more valuable. Than,
I'm definitely hearing you. So, Ferg, where can we, for the people that aren't and want to get on, listen, now some of the bigger people like me think we can actually do this. Where do we go and where do we get on and what do we need to do?
Yeah, so sign up to Strava. I'm on the free version because I'm tight, so everyone can do the same. You can do paid version, but free version will get you on there. And then the 26 2000, so you can go on Strava, find clubs, and then sign up to the 26 2000. 26 is spelled out, and then 2000 number. You'll then find, I think, 55 others that are in there. Sign up on there, and then as you do your walk or whatever, just turn your phone on. We'll go to your Strava app, press record, and I don't know how you go swimming, Kat. You'll have to work that out, but I assume you just add in the meters later on, and it does the stats for you. And then we'll see others cruising along. And if you don't want to do anything, then we'd love to see some cash flowing into the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation. So we've got a page on there. We'll put a link in the show notes as people listen to this. And we've already seen some good donations coming in. Thank you very much for that. And if you donate, I don't know what the minimum is, but if you get one of these shirts, if you donate a bit of money and I was
going to ask about that shirt.
This is the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation shirt. So, we'd love to get some support around that. Obviously, goes without saying how good the cause is. But
can you backdate figures? Like, can I go back to January 1 and put stuff in?
Yeah, you can't make it up though, mate. If you got to.
Yeah, no. Mark.
Yeah. So we're getting back to that.
You might have to get Emma to take photos of you swimming in the pool, Cat, so it's justified.
I don't think I want to scare people off. It's not the whole idea.
Maybe more of the photos walking might be the go, Cat.
Far better idea. It's in the dark at the moment. It's still dark here after 7 in the mornings now. God.
Yeah, I know. We run daylight saving a bit late, but anyway, it's another story.
Anyway.
Yep, but we'd love to, we can happily accept your 1.5 calculation, mate. So what's that? You would have worked out what that means? 1,200 or something? No.
Well,
1,300.
I haven't got there, but I've got up to. So I swim 200 and I walk 3K every morning. So 3K is 4.5 plus another 6.5K a day.
Oh, you're onto it, mate, with your cat. Yeah.
Yes.
I reckon you might have back calculated your ratios.
Why?
Just.
How many days we're into the year? What day is the diary saying?
We're close to 100. We must be near 44, 72, are we?
72. There we go. 72 times 6.5. I'm up to 468K.
Good work, mate. Just like that.
Yep.
Stroke of a pen.
Yep. You're being very sceptical here, Mark.
I'm all for it, mate. Whatever we do, doesn't matter what we do, as long as we get something done. And that's perfect. My brother's flogging me, unfortunately. So he's
Who's the leader at the moment?
I don't know on K's, but I think Tim and a mate of his out of Warwick. Name escapes me. That sucks. They're both Tims. They're about competing each other, doing 10, 15 Ks a day now, which is just
that's impressive.
Uncalled for. And then there's others like Andrew Bendel out there smashing all of us. They're doing 20 or 30 Ks a day, and then others.
Are they now? We go back to, are they under 80 kilos?
Well, maybe they do need the dividing factor. Yeah,
yes,
Tim's certainly not. But,
times by 0.7, I think's fair.
Yeah. Righto, gents. Really appreciate you coming on and having a yarn. Obviously, one of our more favoured subjects. Good mate, Thommo. So, thanks very much for your time. And, look forward to turning left again one time soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate. Good to hear from you, serious.
We'll try and keep you out of prison, you two.
Well, don't want to go back doing. Won't be doing that again.
I think we said we vowed that that's the last time we're doing it.
Thanks for listening, and thanks again to our three fantastic sponsors. Heinegger, who are proud world leaders in the manufacturing and supply of professional sheep shearing and clipping equipment. Allflex Livestock Intelligence, part of MSD Animal Health, offer extensive livestock product portfolio focused on animal health management, all backed up by exceptional service. ProWay Livestock Equipment offer turnkey solutions from design through to professional installation and specialise in facilities that are tailored to your specific operation for all livestock species. We thank these three great companies for their ongoing support of the Head Shepherd podcast.